A fallen star. The storm raged outside Theo Mercer's cabin, thunder cracking like the world splitting apart. He'd chosen this remote corner of Montana to escape humanity, not to encounter something beyond it. Yet there she was sprawled in his backyard, her body glowing faintly in the rain, surrounded by smoldering debris that definitely wasn't from this planet. Theo approached cautiously, engineering instincts warring with self-preservation. The being appeared humanoid, but with translucent skin that pulsed with iridescent blue light. He somehow knew it was a Shile, unconscious, a dark liquid seeping from a wound on her temple. "This is insane," he muttered, rain plastering his dark hair to his forehead. After 3 years of isolation following the engineering disaster that killed 27 people, Theo had grown accustomed to talking to himself. He hadn't expected the universe to answer. When he touched her, her skin was surprisingly warm. Her eyes snapped open, entirely silver with no pupils, and she recoiled, hissing words in a language that sounded like wind through crystal. "I'm trying to help," Theo said, keeping his voice steady. He showed his empty hands. "You're injured." Alien studied him, then glanced at the wound reflected in a piece of shattered metal near her. She nodded slowly and allowed Theo to help her stand. Inside the cabin, Theo laid her on his couch and cleaned her wound. The alien watched him with those unnerving silver eyes. When he finished, she touched his hand and nodded. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She touched her chest. "Neva." Theo's eyes widened. "You speak English?" "Learn." "Fast," she said, her voice melodic but halting. "Memory. ... Absorption." Over the following days, Neva recovered rapidly. Her command of English improved hourly as she absorbed Theo's language through their conversations. She explained she was a celestial cartographer from a distant system. Caught in an unexpected gravitational anomaly that damaged her vessel. "My people will search," she told him one evening as they sat before the fire. "But signal lost. How long will it take them to find you?" Theo asked, fascinated by the way the firelight played across her translucent skin. "Perhaps a long time," she said, her silver eyes reflecting the flames. "Perhaps never." Theo should have been terrified by the alien presence in his home. But Neva's gentle curiosity awakened something in him he thought had died with the victims of his failed bridge design. For the first time in years, he felt needed. That night, while Neva slept, Theo examined pieces of her vessel he'd collected. The technology was unlike anything he'd ever seen: metals that seemed to breathe, components that adjusted to his touch. His engineer's mind raced with possibilities. When morning came, Neva found him still working. She placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch sending an electric tingle through his body. "You helped me," she said. "Why?" Theo considered the question. "Maybe I needed to save someone," he finally answered. "Maybe I needed to be saved." Whispers across space. 2 weeks passed, the Montana winter deepening around Theo's cabin. Inside, warmth bloomed, not just from the hearth, but from the growing connection between human and alien. Neva's presence transformed the once sparse dwelling. Sketches of star systems covered the walls. Mathematical equations Theo could barely comprehend filled notebooks, and strange crystalline structures she'd fashioned from ordinary materials caught the light in impossible ways. "Your understanding of physics is limited," she explained one night, her silvery fingers guiding his across a diagram. The casual touch sent shivers through Theo that had nothing to do with the winter chill. "But your intuition is ... remarkable." Theo laughed. "That's generous. I'm an engineer who designed a bridge that collapsed." Neva's eyes, now showing hints of blue around their silver irises, studied him. "You carry this pain like gravity. It pulls you down. 27 people died because I missed something. And how many lived because of structures you built correctly?" Her hand rested on his. "One mistake does not erase a life of creation." That night, their first kiss happened, naturally curious, tentative, a meeting of worlds that defied astronomical odds. Her lips felt like warm silk and tasted faintly of electricity and stars. Later, as Neva slept beside him, Theo noticed his old radio crackling with unusual static. He adjusted the dial, catching fragments of voices that sounded distinctly non-human. A cold fear gripped him. He'd assumed Neva's people were benevolent, but what if others had detected her presence? Morning brought unexpected clarity when Neva translated the transmissions. "These are not my people," she said, her voice tight. "These are collectors. They hunt rare species." "Like you?" Theo asked, dread pooling in his stomach. Neva nodded. "My kind luminary are prized. Our ability to absorb and process information makes us valuable. ... Commodities." "Slavers," Theo muttered, anger rising. "How close are they?" "Days, perhaps less." Neva's skin dimmed slightly, a sign of distress Theo had come to recognize. "I must leave. They will destroy everything to capture me." Theo took her hands. "We'll leave together." The decision came without hesitation. "My Jeep has a full tank. We can head deeper into the mountains." That evening, as they packed essentials, Theo caught Neva staring at the night sky through his telescope. The stars reflected in her eyes, making them appear as galaxies themselves. "Do you miss it?" he asked. "Space. I miss belonging," she answered. "But here with you, ... She turned to him, her skin glowing brighter. "I found something I never knew in the vastness between stars." As dawn approached, they loaded the Jeep. The radio crackled again, louder, closer. The hunt had begun. "The hunt begins," the old Jeep groaned as Theo navigated it up forgotten logging roads. Beside him, Neva monitored a device she'd constructed from parts of her ship, and Theo's spare radio a makeshift scanner detecting energy signatures similar to her own. "3 vessels," she reported. Her voice tense. "All converging. Their leader is named Krell. Among collectors, he is legendary for never losing prey." Theo's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Well, legends can be broken. They'd been driving for 6 hours, climbing higher into the Bitterroot Range where Theo knew of abandoned mining settlements. The snow grew deeper, the air thinner. Neva's skin seemed to pulse brighter in the altitude, her natural luminescence occasionally forcing Theo to ask her to dim herself to avoid detection. "Sorry," she whispered after one such request. "My physiology responds to emotional states, fear, attachment." She looked at him meaningfully. "Other feelings." Theo smiled despite their situation. "I'm familiar with those other feelings." As night fell, they reached an old prospector's cabin. Theo had discovered it years ago while hiking one of many forgotten structures hidden in these mountains. Inside was basic but defensible. Stone walls, a single window, iron stove. While Theo gathered firewood, Neva modified her scanner. "I may be able to mask my energy signature," she explained, "but not indefinitely." They settled by the fire, the mountain silence heavy around them. In this moment of quiet, Theo studied Neva, how her translucent fingers worked with delicate precision, how her silver-blue eyes calculated variables he couldn't comprehend. "If they capture you," he asked, "what happens?" Neva's movements slowed. "Collectors sell to the highest bidders. Research facilities? Private collectors. Combat arenas. My abilities make me particularly valuable for information extraction." Anger flared in Theo's chest. "I won't let that happen." Her smile was sad. "You are brave, Theo Mercer, but one human against collectors." The scanner suddenly emitted a shrill tone. Neva silenced it immediately, eyes wide. "They've changed search patterns. They're close within 5 kilometers. They doused the fire and gathered their supplies." Outside, the moonlight reflected off fresh snow, creating an ethereal landscape that might have been beautiful under different circumstances. A distant humming broke the silence machinery unlike anything Earth made. "Shh, run," Neva whispered. They fled into the forest, snow crunching beneath their boots. The humming grew louder. Through gaps in the pines, Theo glimpsed Light's 3 craft moving in formation, searchlights sweeping the ground. Neva pointed to a narrow ravine. Water disrupts their scanners. They splashed through the icy creek, teeth chattering, until reaching a small waterfall with a hollow behind it. Pressing inside, they huddled together for warmth, Neva dimming her natural glow to its minimum. "If we survive this," Theo whispered against her cold skin, "I want to see your world someday." Neva's fingers traced his face in the darkness. "Perhaps you will." Above, searchlights sliced through the night, hunting. Sanctuary among stars. Dawn broke with deceptive tranquility. Theo and Neva emerged from their hiding place, soaked and shivering but alive. The collectors had moved on, temporarily fooled, but certainly not giving up. "We need to keep moving," Theo said, checking his map. "There's something that might help us about 10 miles north." Neva followed, her steps growing weaker. The cold and stress were taking their toll. Her luminescence flickered like a failing light bulb. "Your energy is depleting," Theo observed worriedly. "My species absorbs cosmic radiation," she explained between labored breaths. "Earth's atmosphere blocks much of what sustains me. I can adapt, but stress accelerates consumption." By midday, they reached their destination, a fenced compound nestled in a high valley. Signs warned, "Government property, no trespassing." "What is this place?" Neva asked. "Abandoned research facility," Theo explained. "Atmospheric studies, officially." But locals always suspected they were really studying. "Well, visitors like you." They found a gap in the fence and slipped inside. The main building stood weathered but intact, a 3-story concrete structure with satellite dishes and antennas crowning its roof. Inside, dust covered everything. Offices with outdated computers, laboratories with strange equipment, and a central room dominated by what appeared to be a massive transmission array. "This could work," Neva said, suddenly animated. "With modifications, this could broadcast to my people." Theo watched as she examined the equipment, her knowledge far surpassing his own. "You said your people might take years to find you." "To find me passively? Yes. But a directed signal using Earth's existing satellite network, amplified through this array." Her silver eyes gleamed. "Days, perhaps." They spent hours working, Neva directing, Theo implementing. His engineering expertise proved valuable as they repurposed the facility's dormant systems. When night fell, they powered the array using emergency generators. The dish on the roof hummed to life, pointing skyward. Neva inputted a complex sequence, and the array emitted a pulse that made Theo's teeth vibrate. "Oh, we wait," she said. That night, in a dusty control room, illuminated only by Neva's gentle glow, they found comfort in each other. Their bodies moved together, human and alien, different, yet perfectly matched. Her skin brightened with each touch, filling the room with soft blue light. "If your people come," Theo whispered afterward, holding her close, "will you leave?" Neva's fingers traced patterns on his chest. "My duty calls me home, but my heart, ... She looked up at him. "No luminary has ever bonded with a human. Is that what we are?" "Bonded." Her smile was like starlight. "The universe is vast and mysterious, yet somehow we found each other." "What would you call it?" A sudden alarm from their scanner interrupted the moment. The collectors had changed direction, heading straight for the facility. "They've detected the transmission," Neva said, fear edging her voice. Theo stood, determination hardening his features. "Then we defend this position until help arrives." When worlds collide, the collectors' ships appeared on the horizon like predatory birds, sleek, dark vessels that reflected the morning sun in flashes of menace. Theo and Neva watched from the facility's roof, the transmission array still pulsing behind them. "Out 3 hours," Neva said. "The signal reached my people. If they respond immediately, they arrive in 3 hours." Theo checked his watch, then the approaching ships. "Krell will be here in 20 minutes. They prepared as best they could. Barricaded entrances, rigged rudimentary alarms. Theo had found a security locker with a shotgun and limited ammunition. It felt woefully inadequate against interstellar hunters. "They reach us before my people, ... Neva began. Theo took her hand, felt the gentle current that always ran through her skin. "They won't." The first ship landed in the compound's yard, kicking up snow and dust. A ramp extended and 3 figures emerged, bipedal, but clearly non-human. Their bodies were covered in articulated armor, faces hidden behind masks with glowing red sensors. 2 moved toward the building. The third, taller and broader, remained by the ship. "Krell." "They're splitting up," Theo whispered as they watched through a broken window, looking for entry points. First blast took out their barricade at the south entrance. The second shook the entire building. Move, Theo shouted, pulling Neva toward the central stairwell as debris rained down. They raced through corridors, the sounds of pursuit growing closer. In the transmission room, Theo positioned himself by the door, shotgun ready. Keep the signal going, he told Neva, no matter what. The first collector that breached the door met a blast of buckshot. It staggered but didn't fall. Theo fired again, and the creature collapsed. The second was more cautious, firing energy pulses that scorched the walls around them. As Theo reloaded, a new sound emerged, a deep resonant hum that vibrated through the building. Through the windows, a brilliant light washed over the facility. "They're here," Neva whispered, her skin glowing in response to her people's arrival. The Luminar ship dwarfed the collector's vessels, its design organic and flowing, pulsing with the same light that emanated from Neva. The remaining collectors retreated, including Krell, who fired a final vengeful blast at the facility before departing. The shot struck near Neva, throwing her against the transmission array. Theo ran to her, cradling her dimming form. "Stay with me," he pleaded. Her silver eyes found his. "Come with me," she whispered, hours later. As Earth grew small in the viewport of the Luminar vessel, Theo watched his planet recede blue, beautiful, and suddenly distant. Neva, fully recovered in her people's care, stood beside him. "Your world will always be there," she said, following his gaze. "We can return." Theo turned to her, to the impossible woman who had fallen from the stars. "My world is here now," he said, taking her luminescent hand in his. Wherever you are, round them, the ship pulsed with light as it carried them toward adventures beyond imagination, among the echo of distant stars.